I'm glad you were able to make it. I'm sorry for the ambiguous text message asking you to meet. I wanted this to be sort of a surprise. I take it you've never been here before? Well, you're in for a treat. This botanical garden is quite the fascinating place. Before we head inside, I want to apologize for being distant over the past few days. Some unexpected issues came up, and on top of that, I had some things to think over. Oh, well... I suppose I can briefly explain. You know I do my best to stay out of vampire disagreements. However, I do work with Slade, so these problems can be difficult to avoid when they directly affect him. I'll admit, I did see this coming. Yet I felt it wasn't my business to get involved. No, it wasn't an attack involving the werewolves. It was an attack, in a way, but it came from within. It was Slade's bodyguard, August. He finally decided to betray Slade. I say finally decided because I picked up on his intentions long ago. He's been looking for a way to mix things up for a while. It was painfully obvious that his loyalty to Slade would only last as long as his attention span would allow. Ah, so you noticed his deceitful plotting as well. I figured you would. To be honest, I think Slade was the only one who couldn't see it. Perhaps he was so focused on his enemies that he never considered a traitor might be under his nose. His right-hand man, the one he trusted most of all. Long story short, Slade and August are no longer working together. I'd offer Slade comfort, but we've never been quite as close as he and August were. Anyways, I'm sure he'll sort things out. I didn't invite you here to discuss their issues. For tonight, I thought we could do something together to get our minds off this. You should feel special. I'm letting you in on some pretty personal things lately. Yes, I'm serious. You've seen the secret lab rooms in my clinic, the private atmosphere of my apartment, and now this garden. A place where I often come to clear my head. I had a feeling you'd appreciate its beauty, especially after your reaction to the plants in my apartment. You can also think of this night as a thank you for how you saved my life the other day. Even if you say it was nothing, I'll be sure to continue showing you my gratitude in as many ways as I can. A few years ago, I took an interest in some of the rarer species that thrive in this sanctuary. Since I grew up knowing quite a bit about plants, I asked the staff if I could help out around here. I found some new ways to improve the soil quality and create hybrids from the plants they already have. In return, they gave me the passcode so I can visit whenever I like, including after hours, like now. Yes, I suppose you could say plants are a hobby of mine. Don't worry, I won't ramble too much about them. I know I sometimes have a tendency to overshare knowledge when it's something I'm passionate about. Though I guess you don't mind it too much, since you're still spending time with me. After you. I'll take your sudden silence as a good thing. It's beautiful, isn't it? Oh, yes, I forgot to mention the whole place is lit up with the hanging lanterns at night. Some nights it's open for special occasions, but tonight we have the place all to ourselves. It may be easier to make out the individual plants during the day, but I always admire the soft glow of the lanterns after dark, and how they turn the leaves golden. It's so peaceful here. Why don't you choose which way we go? There are a few different paths, and they're all equally interesting. And I can always bring you back here another time. Earlier, I mentioned having some things to process. I would still like to talk to you about that. Please, don't worry. It's nothing bad. I'd say it's the opposite, actually. It's just that it's been rather difficult for me to approach this subject, as it's not something I am experienced with. I was considering whether or not to bring it up tonight. And then I saw you, and even just the way you're looking at me right now, your eyes are so trusting. I feel as if I could tell you anything. Thank you for the encouraging words. You really are a kind-hearted person. I know what I'm about to say isn't logical in the slightest. I'm sure you know by now that I'm not someone who gets caught up in overthinking or worrying about the opinions of others. I'm driven by analysis and facts, by rationality. Because of this, I've never understood those who have intense emotions towards others. Of course I saw the love between my parents, and now the hatred of Slade towards the werewolves. I've accepted the emotions of those around me. But even when I put myself in others' shoes, I could never wrap my head around such an intense feeling came to be. Why waste precious time harboring something as useless as love or hate, when you could focus on gaining knowledge and applying it to the world around you? Feelings aren't based around logic, and regardless of how appealing they may sound, they serve no real purpose. And then you showed up at my clinic that day. The human who carelessly broke the lock on my back door and thought I wouldn't notice you strolling through my halls. Then you returned again, stumbling in from the pouring rain, completely soaked, trembling, your hair disheveled. And with that scrape on your knee you don't even remember getting. Just another symbol of how reckless you can be. And then the evening in my apartment. The way your eyes watched me intently as I spoke about my past. I had just been on the brink of death. Yet seeing you, I felt calmer than ever. I've seen a lot of mysterious things in this lifetime, but I must say, even the most intriguing species didn't pique my interest in the way that you do. You can be careless, a bit clumsy, and you have such an insatiable curiosity that I sometimes worry it'll get you killed. And yet, I'm certainly not one for cheesy idioms, but I can't think of another way to say this. I'm afraid you've swept me off my feet. I've fallen in love with you. I've waited a while to speak to you since our last meeting in my apartment because I wanted to process it all. And please, don't feel an obligation to reciprocate any of it. You have a good head on your shoulders. With your incredible mind, you have the ability to craft any future you want. It certainly doesn't need to involve me. The only thing I ask is that you consider visiting me from time to time. The worst thing that could happen is that we never speak again after today. I've come to cherish you. Truly. And no matter what happens, I want you to know how much I've valued our time together. Oh. I appreciate you holding onto my hands. Your touch always grounds me. If you did it to stop my rambling, it certainly worked. You have my full attention. Do you mean that? You'd be interested in pursuing a deeper relationship with me? I'm sorry if I'm a bit speechless. To hear that I've given you the same amount of safety and comfort that I feel around you, it's an indescribable feeling. No, I had no idea you felt the same. That's fair. Perhaps I'm not exactly one to pick up on romantic intentions. Either way, I'm certainly glad to hear it. I would have been happy remaining lifelong friends, but if you're certain that... Oh. I suppose that answers my question. The way that light is hitting your face, you look beautiful. Yes, my heart's racing quite fast. I'm not surprised you can hear it. You know, yours isn't quite a normal pace either. I promise to take care of you. Which may prove to be quite the challenge given your reckless habits. But I'll protect you regardless. How would you feel about helping me with some of my projects? Yes, at the clinic, or wherever we decide to explore. I have a feeling the two of us can discover a lot in this lifetime. I'd love to hear more of your ideas, too. I'm sure vampires aren't the only thing you've researched in all those online forums. Well, it'll be an honor to have such an astute detective for a partner. If you're free the rest of the night, how would you feel about coming back with me to my apartment? I know you've been through a lot lately, chasing vampires, solving mysteries. You must be exhausted. You could use a night of relaxation. We could have one together. True, I myself don't need sleep. But you could rest as much as you wanted. I'll even make you breakfast, if you'd allow me to do the honor. Perfect. On the way back, let's stop at the market and pick up a few things. You haven't told me your favorite foods or beverages yet. I think it'd be a good idea for me to stock up on those. I'm excited to learn all the little things about you. slowly. Of course, you'll get to see all the sides of me, too. The sides that no one else gets to see underneath my exterior as a scientist. Trust me, the plants were only the beginning. I'm looking forward to every day that lies ahead of us. Oh, you're still here. Well, if you're interested in more audios like this one, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'm sure you'd find it worth your time. If you're an adult listener seeking some more mature content, I can send you over to patreon.com/anagomi. Or if you want a commission tailored to your very own needs, please examine anagomi.com/commissions. Now, you'd better be off. Please be careful out there. Till we meet again.